The bathroom scale remains unchanged after weeks of effort, and daily decisions start feeling like random guesses. Workouts increase, meals become complicated, and exhaustion makes consistency collapse just when momentum should be building. Unclear feedback creates panic, as the body can change while usual measurements barely move at all. Complex plans often hide the true levers, so extra effort can add fatigue without better outcomes. The cost is not only lost progress but also lost trust in any method that asks for patience. Without a small set of rules, motivation gets burned on decisions that never reveal whether they worked. A practical system focuses on what can be measured, what can be repeated, and what produces the biggest effect. It treats each intervention like a test, so results guide the next step instead of hope. In the next minutes, the focus will be on measurement, minimum dosing, simple eating rules, damage control, and temperature tools. This video is inspired by The 4-Hour Body by Timothy Ferriss, and subscribe for more protocols that keep results measurable. A physical GPS using a few repeatable measurements means tracking body composition improvements over time. The mechanism involves monitoring circumference and estimated body fat percentage, ensuring progress is visible even when weight fluctuates. A scale can be misleading because water, glycogen, and food volume change rapidly, while fat and muscle change more slowly. When weight becomes the sole metric, normal fluctuations can appear as failure, leading to unnecessary changes in routine. One pattern is noticing a higher weight after a free day, but smaller waist and thigh measurements. This contrast highlights why body composition matters more than a single number, making patience easier with data. This focus on measurement supports a broader goal of improving the ratio of useful muscle to stored fat. It keeps decisions grounded, ensuring every new tactic improves the tracked numbers rather than just feeling intense. Choose 2 to 4 circumference sites, record them consistently, and pair them with one body fat estimation method. Review changes weekly and adjust only one variable at a time to keep the signal clear and interpretable. The minimum effective dose refers to the smallest input needed to produce a desired change, with everything else considered waste. The process involves selecting a few exercises, meals, or supplements that move metrics, then cutting everything else. Extra effort can stall results because recovery, appetite, and stress responses can negate the benefits of additional work. Overly complex plans also increase decision load, often leading to adherence failure before physiology even gets a chance. One contrast is doing short, targeted sessions that can be repeated versus long, daily sessions that create soreness and skip days. The first approach builds momentum through consistency, while the second approach often leads to burnout and inconsistency. This concept ties back to the redesign goal, because the body responds to the right signal, not the most work. It also reinforces skepticism, as popular routines must be tested against outcomes rather than assumed to be effective. Identify the single most reliable lever for your goal, then apply it consistently until the measurements change. Once progress appears, keep the dose stable and refine small details only after the core behavior proves repeatable. A slow carb eating pattern focuses on fat loss by limiting refined starches and emphasizing protein, legumes, and vegetables. It follows 5 rules: avoid white carbohydrates, repeat meals, avoid drinking calories, avoid fruit, and take 1 free day weekly. Simplicity is key because fewer choices reduce mistakes, and stable meals make changes in measurements easier to interpret. By removing common calorie-dense triggers, appetite becomes easier to manage, and consistency lasts long enough to matter. A useful contrast is repeating 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches for weeks versus chasing novelty that breaks the rules. Another contrast is using 1 planned free day rather than frequent small exceptions that blur boundaries every day. This approach fits the minimum dose idea because it relies on a short list of constraints, not constant calorie math. It also supports the physical GPS, as steady routines make waist and body fat trends reflect real change. Build a short menu from foods that fit the rules and rotate it until results show clearly on your measurements. If this framework helps simplify eating decisions, subscribe for more clear testing methods that keep progress visible. Damage control focuses on the short window after overeating, when the body decides whether surplus becomes storage or is diverted. The mechanism emphasizes limiting insulin release reducing absorption speed, and increasing muscle uptake of glucose. This matters because a single unplanned eating day can erase a week of deficit and create discouragement that ends the plan. Having a response plan reduces fear around social meals and helps maintain long-term consistency, even with occasional mistakes. A common pattern is an overeating day followed by guilt and extreme restriction, which often triggers another rebound. A better pattern is a measured response that returns quickly to the base routine without turning the week into chaos. This idea connects to the 3-day rule because flexibility works only when the downside is controlled intentionally. It also reflects minimum effective dose thinking, since a few targeted levers beat hours of compensatory effort. Some protocols combine timing, brief muscle contractions, and specific supplement stacks to support glucose handling after excess intake. The practical takeaway is treating exceptions as planned events with clear boundaries, not as reasons to abandon the system. Temperature exposure matters because the body contains different fat types, including white fat for storage and brown fat for heat production. The mechanism is that cold can activate heat-generating processes, which spend energy instead of storing it. This can affect results because it adds a lever beyond food and exercise, potentially shifting how the body handles surplus. It also changes the framing, as comfort-seeking environments can reduce natural demands for heat production. One contrast is constant warm indoor living versus brief cold exposure, which creates measurable shivering and heat generation. Another contrast is relying on longer workouts versus adding a small temperature stimulus that fits a minimum dose approach. This concept ties back to measurement, as any temperature protocol still needs waist, body fat, and performance data to validate it. It also supports skepticism, as unusual methods should earn their place only when results are visible and repeatable. The book describes several starting options such as ice packs, cold water, and brief cold showers, applied consistently and cautiously. Treat temperature tools as experiments, start conservatively, and keep the rest of the routine stable for reliable comparison. The core shift treats body change as a design problem, rewarding measurement, simplicity, and repeated testing over intensity. Results become predictable when inputs are chosen for effect size and removed when they add effort without changing outcomes. The physical GPS keeps attention on composition, while the minimum effective dose keeps the plan small enough to sustain. Slow carb rules create stable eating patterns, and damage control protects progress when exceptions occur. Temperature exposure adds an extra lever, but must earn trust through consistent tracking and clear comparisons. Together, these mechanisms reduce decision fatigue because the next step is guided by data rather than motivation swings. Start with one measurement routine and one core behavior, then hold them steady long enough to see a trend. After a trend appears, change only one variable, retest, and keep only what improves the numbers you care about. That process builds confidence because each step is based on observed response rather than promises and hype. If this approach helps you choose what to test next, subscribe for more summaries that turn complex protocols into simple steps.